mystery and horror, the air itself is filled with monsters.
Children of the night, what music they make. He's alive! He's alive!
Well, hello, all you monster fiends, and thank you for joining us for another deep dive, factoid-filled episode exploring Hollywood's most famous monsters. I am your mistress of ceremonies, Sam.
I'm not going to do it.
And we are joined, as always, by Dan from Bleeding Marvelous. Say hello, Dan.
Hello, Dan.
And it is Friday the 13th. Wow.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday indeed to the man of our show. Yes. Today we are doing Jason. My whispers sound so much better on this mic. They are so shit on my other one. Right, I'm going to do the disclaimer.
Yes.
And we're going to get into Jason. So everything discussed in today's episode is our opinions and our opinions alone. If you'd like to discuss anything from today's episode, please come and join us on the Discord page, the Facebook group, or the comments section, where we can have an open discussion. What we won't have, though, is anyone coming for us and telling us our opinions are wrong. We can all agree to disagree in fandom. So let's keep it fun, keep it kind, and keep the toxic behaviour out of nerdism. Thank you. Thank you.
Don't be a dick.
Thank you. Yes. Oh, I actually saw someone with a t-shirt on a jumper that said, "Don't be a dick," the other day. And I was like, oh, Dan. It had rainbows on it. Those totally not you.
I mean, I might be the same height as a leprechaun, but really that's where it stops.
I was like, make that a gloomy cloud and you've got it. Right. Perfect. So, Jason Voorhees is the main character in the, in my opinion, highly successful Friday the 13th franchise, played by 10 different actors. He is in movies, video games, comics, and he even went to space. His name is Jason, and today is his birthday, as we bring you Jason Voorhees.
Happy birthday, Sam.
It just makes us think of the Ice Nine Kills songs, Thank God It's Friday, and absolutely despise that song because it's the second one on the album, so every time the album goes on, it's like, thank God it's Friday. Yeah, he fucking hates it.
I mean, you'd know, you're their number one fan.
I'm your number one fan. I really am. I'm going to be intrigued to see what my Spotify list comes up with this year and what Ant says, because it'd be nice to know what Ant actually likes in music.
Ice Nine Kills.
He'll scream if that comes up. Yeah, Jason. Oh, could have been Josh.
Yes. Victor, no, Mr. Victor, no.
No, Josh
Voorhees.
Would have it had the same effect?
Josh seems very modern.
Mm.
I mean, I know it's not. Joshua is a very old-fashioned name, but Josh Voorhees, Jason. I don't know. I mean, Jason was the name of the era as well, because I went to school with a lot of Jasons, and this movie came out the year I was born. So,
I mean, I thought it was all down to Jason Donovan, but what do I know?
Too many broken hearts in the world.
I saw him as Frankenfurter. It's in Rocky Horror, and it was just after his whole drug rehabilitation. So it was like his big comeback.
Yeah.
And he does Frankenfurter, and everyone's taking the piss out of him about his, when Frank gets a bit faintish, and it's like everyone's like, oh, he's so used to that. And he come right to the front of the stage and just went, shut the fuck up. And then just continued on with his performance, and it was fucking brilliant. I loved it. Sorry, that's another Jason for another day.
Different Jason. Same era, but different Jason.
Yes. So Josh, he could have been named Josh. Josh Voorhees.
I'm not, no.
It's only, do you not think it's just because we're so used to the name Jason Voorhees? It's so iconic. I wear him on nearly every t-shirt.
Yeah, probably. We've been conditioned. As with all of the characters. I mean, you couldn't be as scared of Horace Kruger, could you? You know what I mean?
Oh my God, that is an amazing name.
But it
Horace
wouldn't be as
Kruger.
scary, would it? Let's be honest. It wouldn't be as scary as Freddy Krueger.
Yeah, you're right.
So we've become conditioned. Not Michael Myers, Jonathan Myers, or Keith,
Johnny.
Keith
Johnny.
Myers. You know,
Johnny.
It doesn't seem right for them to be anything else, because all of these staple of horror icons have been going 40 years plus, or in the ballpark of 40 years. So
it's so true. And
in that's it. It's a hell of a mind frame to.
It is.
Switch
really
up.
is. I just want to point out, I may wear this t-shirt quite a lot. However, I have this t-shirt in this design 3 times over, along with other ones. I have a lot of Jason t-shirts.
I've got so many. You know, I normally would go through my t-shirts and have one themed for every episode, but to be honest with you, I've got to a point where I don't look in the cupboard at the moment because I'm putting off the massive holiday packing and all that sort of business, and I can't do it to myself just yet.
Oh God, I've got. Have you seen that TikTok where the girl's going in the a drawer? She's full on goth, and she goes in a drawer and it's all black, and she can't find what. That's me.
That's me as well. Like I have to fold my t-shirts so that I can see what the front is. Like the design on the t-shirt has to be on the top and as it rolls round. Otherwise, it's just black.
It's just
everything is black.
I mean, if I'm getting jumpers, that's fine. But my t-shirts, it's like, I don't want this black one. I want another black one.
It's not the right black. I need the other black to go. I
need a different shade. Or I keep going. If I want me Captain Spaulding t-shirt, I sing for it to come. Fuck me, I've got problems.
The snake charmer of t-shirts.
Oh, Captain Spaulding, where are you today? He was named after Victor Mills's sons, though, in the end. Now, was it
Josh and Ian?
I don't get that.
No, I don't, but apparently that's what it was. So I read Josh and Ian.
Josh and Ian, Jason, Jason. Nah, it doesn't work. But at least it didn't go with Josh. That's a good start.
That very much is, yeah.
Yeah. He was also never supposed to be the center of attention.
Yes. When Victor wrote was it the first screenplay Victor wrote, or when it was in development, they didn't want to make him, I hate the word, not my word, it's what the research says down here, deformed. Right.
Yeah, they didn't want to do that, and that is the words that they use online. If you go and look it up,
it's not my choice of words. But to be completely PC about it, I don't know any other way of sort of saying that.
Misshapen.
That's
the best I can come up with.
Yeah. This.
You're with Tom. Hey, Tom.
Tom and Ari Lehman there. Yeah. They didn't want to make him the center of attention, but apparently after they tested the makeup and the crew and the cast said, in their opinion, it worked better, is what I read, with Jason being more challenged. I
think it just brings more mystery to the character. Yeah. It's not like with Michael, we kind of knew what he looked like. If you go off the beginning of Halloween, he was a normal looking kid with a big knife in his hand. So the mystery's kind of taken away slightly. But with Jason, it's like, what the fuck is under there? What is under your burlap sack?
I mean, I read so many different views on how Jason progresses through all the movies, and one of them said that when it hits part 6 and 7, apparently he's a zombie. And I was like...
6. I have it. Jason Lives.
I was like... So I don't remember that being part of the lore at all, right? I just remember it was the fact that technically, yes, I guess he would be classed as a zombie in the fact that he came back to life.
Mm-hmm.
But depending on which movie you watch, you don't know where you are in the timeline, because each one has a different version of events, even though they all stick with the Pamela Voorhees narrative.
Mm-hmm.
They all sort of have a different way of showing how Jason become Jason at the beginning.
Yeah. Well, Friday the 13th was very much inspired in the way that Halloween was going to go.
Yeah.
So Halloween was going to be an anthology series, sorry. Jason was going to be exactly the same. Or the Friday the 13th franchise was going to be, A Long Night at Camp Blood.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think that has the same effect. Yeah, that was the original title for Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
A Long Night at Camp Blood. Wow.
Pass. Could you imagine 12 movies called A Long Night at Camp Blood? 12.
It would never have happened. Names are something when it comes to horror. Names make a horror movie, in my opinion. Look at the franchises that you've got. Like, look at Saw. Look at The Conjuring. Look at Halloween, Friday the 13th. The name that would have been a on the shelf VHS,
one and done.
One and done. We would never have seen any more from it. Yeah. Just imagine though if it did the merchandise. You know how you got that beautiful sign of Camp Crystal Lake, Camp Blood.
I mean, that's right on the nose, isn't it? You don't really need to be told that's what it is. That for me is like Halloween. It's a low budget movie title. That I mean, I know that's exactly what this film was. As with all of these iconic characters that we now have, they all stemmed from very, very little money, and became these massive horror icons. I mean, you look at what Sean Cunningham did when he'd seen Halloween, and like you say, he wanted to build something very, very similar. But hoping to drum up publicity. What he did was genius. I mean, he took out an ad in the newspaper, put the Friday the 13th logo on it, didn't have a film, didn't have any backing, hadn't even cast it, had nothing, right? But he put the ad in the newspaper to say it was coming soon. Because it drummed up interest. So he started getting people going, oh, we want to invest in this. Because he put it in one of the biggest newspapers at the time. People obviously thought it was this massive new horror movie, and obviously riding on the tail of Halloween, they were like, right, what's the next thing we got coming? What's the next thing? So he did that, and then he also released it was the first horror movie to ever receive an advert on the telly as well. So,
well, not like a trailer, but an advert.
Yeah. Like
crazy.
There was no trailer footage because they hadn't shot it. So all he had was that graphic of Friday the 13th coming out, and it was shattering through a window, if I'm remembering rightly. And it was like something like coming to theatres near you soon. Not even filmed at all, but he managed to afford, with the backing of the one or two investors he'd managed to drum up, was the newspaper ad and the TV campaign. And in doing that, he managed to make enough money to then create the first film. That is some old Hollywood shit. That's what they used to do back in the day to get movies out there. They would just put out like advertisements in newspapers, hope that a backer would, or they would have backing parties where they would prance around, the potential cast and artwork and such. And then hopefully their rich backers would help. That is some old shit. That's so clever. He really, really was. He is a clever man. When you see him now being interviewed all the time, he's like a curmudgeon, the old sod. He sits there and he's like,
I love that word, curmudgeon.
Yeah, he was just like, I saw a documentary, I think it's on Amazon Prime. I can't remember what it's called. It's something along the lines of Camp Crystal Lake Memories or something like that. And they interview a few of the Jasons, and then they interview Sean, and that's where he explains all the stuff that he did. And he just sits there and he's like, yeah, I admit it, I blatantly ripped off Halloween. I know what I was doing. I just wanted to make some money. And I was like, good for you. I appreciate your honesty.
Yeah, own it. Fucking own it. I mean, it says he was played by 10 different actors. Personally, I just thought there was one, which is Kane Hodder, because you would not think that anyone else actually played Jason Parkin, even though I love Kane. He's such a... For what he does for the community, I like him. Please don't shit out all over it. I know you've been to many conventions with him. Don't shit on it. Don't shit on it.
No, I mean, Kane will always forever be Jason. I mean, I met Kane going back just the year before the Panini.
2019.
That's the one. And he said in my photo, I will not strangle the ladies. I only strangle the men, he said. So we'll have a nice photo together.
And I would have said, no Kane. Hands around the neck.
Well, Freddie... When I met Robert England, he did that. There's a photo of him like that, and then he's got his glove in my face. And I'm just so happy. I was smiling. I was smiling. I was so happy. I was like,
he's touching me.
Yeah. It's simple things, isn't it? It's simple things.
It is. I saw Kane at For Love of Horror 2019, and I'm so scared.
He's not as big as I thought he was going to be.
I tower over him.
In my head, I had him as like a 6'4", maybe around that ballpark, 6'2", 6'4". But I think he's only 5'10", maybe smaller. I'm not sure.
I see. I tower him. I'm 5'9", and I felt I was. But bear in mind, he was sitting down. So and he is a stocky guy. Like I was like, yeah. It was just, it's the fact that he sat there with his gloves on the whole time. I was like, oh my God, take your gloves off.
Well, you know why that is, don't you? He got horrifically burned.
No, I know that. I feel like shit now. Take your gloves off, Kane.
The gist of it is, many years ago, obviously because Kane's first job is stuntman, everybody automatically goes to Jason, but his first job was always stuntman. Yeah. And somewhere in the making of these movies and some others. Now, I don't think it was on a Friday the 13th movie that this happened. Someone will correct me if I'm wrong. It was on another movie he was working on. It was a fire stunt, went wrong, and he got horrifically burnt all down one side of his body. So his hands suffered quite badly because he was holding something, if I remember rightly. Oh. So he's got real bad burns on his hands. He's also got burns up the side of his body and up his neck. So if you do see him, you can sort of see it, but not so much. He's okay.
I'm not going to be looking out for that. I'm going to be keeping my distance from that and just not shouting, Ken, take your gloves off.
Well, at least you know now.
Yeah. Good to know. Don't make a fool of yourself when you go there. He's there in November, right? He's always been a guest when I've been there.
I can't remember. There are so many guests.
There is so many.
I honestly have lost count. I've got 4 shows coming up, and the guest lists for these 4 shows have been... We've got Elijah Wood, Jared Padalecki, and Andy Serkis at this, and the cast of Grease at Edinburgh this weekend, which is in the past now, so the week before. But Liverpool.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Liverpool coming up, you've got Jensen Ackles, you've got the Bella Ramsey, you've got Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, you've got if you start looking at the guest list for Liverpool, it's absolutely insane. And then you look at the guest list for The Love of Horror, and that's insane. And then Telford Takeover for the Wales Comic Con is my last one of the year, and they've just announced Jamie Campbell Bower, Vecna, Steve, Babysitter Steve, both from Stranger Things, obviously. And their guest list is getting bigger and bigger as we're getting nearer and nearer. So it's like I'm sitting there thinking everybody's really putting the effort in, from this company.
Oh yeah, I mean, For the Love of Horror is all like 2019. The last one I went to, was 20 after the P. It was the one after the.
I think it was 2021.
2021, yes, it was. October, yeah. And that was quite downsizey. There was a lot of room to move. But the 2019 one, I just remember being so full. I loved every second of it. like just watching Tim Capello on stage, talking to him, talking to all the Lost Boys. I was like, oh my God, what's going on? I think that was the weekend before I got married. I genuinely think that was the weekend before I got married. Is when because we definitely went beforehand, because I was like, I can't spend a lot of money because I don't have any. I think I got, she's not there. Oh yeah, I got it. I got me, you can't see him, but I got me Living Dead doll it from there that year.
Yeah, we've got, it's just crazy to me how much effort people are putting in. And if you just gone in the US, I mean, I know we're stepping away from Jason quite a little bit when I say this, but I know quite a few people that recently went to the H45.
Yes, me too.
And obviously Neil, Hibbert and Pure Horror and Kate were both there. So I've been seeing a lot of content coming out, not to mention other people that I know that have gone. And it looked crazy. Absolutely crazy.
It looked so different. I didn't realize it only happens once every 5 years. Which is class, because then it's not over. It's not like milking it.
Mm-hmm. The amount of Michaels. Did you even see they had
the
Rob
Mexican.
Zombie's? Yeah. They had Rob Zombie's Michaels as well, which I was surprised at, because I thought, a lot of people discount that and they think they'd throw it away. But I mean, I am not even going to attempt to pronounce the young lad that played Michael in Rob Zombie Halloween, because I'll butcher his name. But
he looks no different though.
He looks like he's in his 30s now, if I'm right. And I took one look and I was like, that's not him. When you have that moment, you're like, no. And then I was like, yeah,
yes. Did you see the Michael Mexican standoff? The office where they all stand in the office, and you've got like Andy, Pam, and Dwight, and Michael all standing doing the mix. They all did that. This huge circle of Michaels, and I was like, "Fuck yes!" And I just wanted somebody just to scream Pam's line. I'm not going down for this. I thought it was so cool. Right?
Jason.
Jason was a zombie.
I don't like it.
No, me neither. I didn't. When I read it, I was like, no, you just adding shit for the sake of adding shit.
I mean, I know technically if we are looking at someone coming back from the dead, are they reanimated? Are they what? A zombie? Like we had this discussion.
I was going to say,
we've
had this discussion.
But
did we come to an agreement?
No, well, no. Yes and no. I think Mike Kell, yes, Mike. Okay, you're going to have something to say on this, and please feel free to have this conversation with me. Because Mike he didn't like the fact that I said that I asked the question. Well, not that he didn't like it, but he had something to say about the fact that I wasn't sure if the Bride and Frankenstein's monster were actually classed as zombies, because obviously, reanimated, but it's different because they were bits of people put together to come back. So when you think about it in hindsight, I was wrong, and I openly admit that. But Mike pointed that out, and he did have a point, and he was right. So I take that statement back. But with this one, technically, did he even die in the first place? I mean, this is where it all gets weird. What the hell is in that water? Firstly, right? Jason was supposedly the kid that drowned in the first one, because the camp counselors were too busy getting frisky with each other and not watching the kids in the water. Now, bear in mind, Jason wasn't probably a kid that should be left unsupervised at any point.
No,
because of his needs.
Well, why is Pamela sending him there in the first place? If she's that worried about him, Pamela, you need to have a talk with yourself. But apparently that is one of his superpowers, is that he can pick up when people are getting frisky and goes fucking apeshit and like, mummy, time to kill.
Oh dear. If I'm honest, right, I was thinking about what I would class him as. And he really is a morality monster, isn't he?
Yeah.
That's all he is. He's like this fable you tell the kids, don't have sex because Jason will get you. And
He'll
it's like,
your head off.
It's a bit extreme, isn't it? But like,
honestly, if I had kids, that'd be the first thing I'd be saying. Don't you fucking have sex, because you fucking Jason will be knocking at the door.
The man with a machete, come and chop your todger off.
And his mate Freddie is not far behind him, and he'll come and get you in your fucking dreams.
Yeah.
It's a good job I'm not a parent.
But yeah, I think it's also weird because I love the first one. The first one will always have a
Yes,
special place with me.
massively.
I mean, Betsy Palmer didn't want to play the part. She did not want that job. And it wasn't, if it wasn't for her car breaking down and her needing the money for a new car, then she would never have taken the job.
I love the fact that probably one of the most iconic, probably one of the most, what's what I'm looking for. She is always misplaced.
Mm-hmm.
In the first one, everyone's like, "Oh, Jason!" It's not. It's Pamela Voorhees is the killer, and she does all them amazing kills. And she did it for her car. Oh, it's so good. I do love her. I love her as a killer. Actually, I love it as like the whole killer in the first the first film. I generally can't remember the first time I watched Jason. I remember seeing it as a kid, Jason, Friday the 13th, sorry. I remember seeing it as a kid, but not really like, it was just colours and shapes and death, and there wasn't a lot of like substance and stories. I wasn't taking anything away from them. And I think that's how I got away with watching a lot of horror, was the fact that it was just shapes, movements. Like, I'm not really, apart from asking, when I ask questions, is when I get the answers I don't want to hear, which is how I am so fucking scared of Hannibal Lecter, because I asked questions. But yeah, it was shapes and colours, and it wasn't until I was older, and by that point, it'd been in every fucking list, Watch Mojo list, and every top 5, top 10, like big horror icons, and I had it completely, utterly ruined for us. Probably Scream ruined it for us, if I'm honest.
Bloody Drew Barrymore.
You got it fucking wrong, didn't you?
silly woman. But she hated the part afterwards and refused point blank to reprise it in any which way. So that's why they used some of the footage from the first movie in the second and third and fourth, where they do the little recaps. For those first 4 movies, it pissed me off how 2, 3, and 4 recapped 2, 3, and 4 at the beginning, like it was like like the week before episode or something, previously on Friday the 13th. And then you got a reminder of what had happened in the last film, or the last 2 films, or the last 3 films. So by the time you get to final chapter, the first 10 minutes is recap, 5-10 minutes is just pure recapping the first 3 movies, and you're like, they were shit. Apart from bar 1, I don't need to see 2 and 3 again, thank you very much, because it's the same film over and over again. I actually really love, and I don't know if this is controversial, but I actually really love the burlap sack. Have I said that right again? The burlap, that's it. Burlap sack. Well, I actually like that look. I've read 3 different things to do with that, but 2 of them stood out the most to me. One was that in the second movie, he was supposed to be given more of a fatherly figure with the old grandpa dungarees, and they wanted him to look more fatherly. They were gearing up to something. But then I read something else that said that was Jason in his like 20s. Oh, right. Because obviously, when you first see Jason in the first movie, he's, should we say 15, maybe, give or take, right? So second movie comes along, he's a lot bigger, and I don't know how many years are supposed to have elapsed between the first movie and the second one, because I do hear them mention 6 months after the camp, the final girl gets killed in her apartment. So I think it's around 6 months. So in 6 months, he goes from that to Sackboy. And it's like, what the hell is he growing in? Miracle Grow? Is he just... Horseshit. What is in Crystal Lake? Horseshit. Shove him in manure and just leave him there. That's why he's got the overalls on. But yeah, I mean, it was like... Sackboy, okay, I'll give it for the design of the costume. I like it. Sack Jason was interesting. Yeah, I like it in the respect of that it was different from obviously the hockey mask and different from Pamela. They were trying to establish something, but they weren't quite getting there. Yeah. So they went with Sackboy. But I just can't get how he grows so quick.
Miracle Grow. It was gearing up to something in relation to his father. Because I think they were going, if what I was reading before was that they were going to change direction. Because like I say, wrong person. Jason wasn't meant to be the main star. It was this whole franchise was going to veer off anthology style, and we were going to get a story of his father. And the suit for the sack and the dungarees was of reminiscent of his father's look. That's
right.
But it never materialized. It never actually happened. And Jason doesn't get his iconic mask until 3.
Yeah, that's the button up that we all know, the green button up and the tan chinos, Jason.
Fuck dresses Jason, man. Who's his stylist?
Well, according to number 3, the guy who owned the grocery shop that ate all the food and then put it back on the shelves, they were supposed to be his clothes. And considering though that he was about a third of his size,
the one thing I do appreciate of Jason, and this even goes from Burlap Sack right the way up to the most recent one, because the most recent mask of Jason is
2009. Yeah.
2009. And I love the fact that Jason is different in every single one. There is something different about the look, about the mask. It's not all consistent. And I actually like that non-consistency.
I think that's the thing that they have cottoned on to quite well. But in saying that, the only consistent person throughout all the movies is Sean Cunningham. He has stayed on in some capacity, be it executive producer, writer, assistant, something or other. He's had a finger in every single one of the pies.
He's had the pies.
Yeah, thought I'd add that in just to stop any confusion for anybody there. But yeah, he's so I think he's had some say, because technically Jason was his baby. I know he didn't invent him on the whole, but obviously Tom invented Jason, as we know here. But this wasn't invented by Tom. This was a whole nother level.
This is just evolution, and I love the fact that you could just say Jason was fucking, every film was immense, every film was amazing, and we're all just looking forward to take us back actually to the 80s, and we're looking forward to the next Jason, and it's like, what Jason are we going to get? What look are we going to get? And that kind of conversation is so missing in horror these days.
Yeah, 100%. You don't get that. I think, and as much as I hate to admit it, because we've talked about the Terrifier and Art the Clown before, Art is a great, he is a great horror villain. However, the movies lack something for me, but he's the only one so far in this day and age of modern years. I'm not talking like Saw started 10 years, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, whenever it was.
Let's stop reminding us how old we are.
But it started a long time ago, so even though they're still pumping out movies now, whereas there's not been really anything of the last 5-10 years that can spawn a sequel after sequel after sequel and have that kind of success that these movies have. Even though they all flopped, some of them flopped badly, it's still had a continuous success,
and it has such a fan base. Like, there's not one person in the horror community who would not turn around and say, I don't like Jason.
I'll bet there's someone.
Mike, do not come in the comments or on any posts and say me.
There'll always be someone that doesn't like it.
I think it's just because I hold him in such high regards. Like, for me, he is bigger than Michael, he is bigger than Freddy, he is bigger than Ghostface. He is my favorite horror icon. I drink out of his fucking head every day. Like, I just have such high regard for him because he is different, and there is so much that could be done with him, and there's so much that could be changed with him. Like, with Michael, it's very much the same. And I'm not shitting on Michael at all. Like, when we do Michael Myers episode, I will give you my full appreciation for him. But it's one-dimensional. And people are like, well, they like the mystery beside it. And okay, but I didn't like what they did in the last movie when they give him like sidekicks and everything. And I was thinking maybe he does work better. I don't know. Maybe I'm just rambling right now and thinking like I hold Jason higher than I do Michael.
You can like who you like. It's not for anybody to tell you that you can't like
Heard that. I can like who I like.
You know, at the end of the day, they can like who they like. I mean,
I actually have a little baby Jason staring right at me, and that's thanks to my friend Nicole, who's part of the group. She's part of the admin and moderators, and she did me this amazing. I think he's my laptop carrier at the moment. Amazing Jason tote bag, and give me some Jason stickers, and I'm just caressing them now. I love them. But yeah, I have such I just think because he is different, and there's so much more the story to him that we can add in and take out, and that would be okay because he's this kind of almost supernatural creature, and I like that.
I think that's the thing. That's the term I would prefer to use instead of zombie. I think supernatural. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I don't know why. I mean, I'm not a purist or anything like that by any stretch of the imagination, but zombie sort of cheapens him a little bit.
I think so too.
And I think that it has got a lot to do with The Walking Dead because obviously they brought the zombies back to the forefront.
They brought the walkers. They never say the word. They never say the word zombie, but walk. Yeah, I know what you mean.
You'd been getting all the movies. Obviously, you'd had all the day of, night of, Living Dead movies coming out.
All of the Deads. All the Deads.
And obviously, then you had Shaun of the Dead come out, and I think Walking Dead was around the same time, and it all came out anyway. And so we had a resurgence of zombies. So when you've had 27 series of Walking Dead, you get to
that's probably not an exaggeration either.
You just get to a point where you're like, zombies are boring to me now. I find them,
the concept and idea of them, and especially like Romero's zombies, I fucking love them. But they took too much of the human side into Walking Dead, and the apocalyptic side of, and I'm like, I just want to see you kill some zombies, man. I just want to see some fucking zombie killing, or them killing you. Like either way, just someone die.
The first couple of seasons, not to go too much into a tangent, but the first couple of seasons of Walking Dead, for me, fantastic ideas. Greg Nicotero did some amazing things with the zombies. And then they just sort of made it too much about the people and less about the zombies. And if that's something you're into, lovely. I lost interest. Boring.
I got to the very end. I have still not seen the end. I persevered. I invested 10 years of my life into that show, and I was going to see it through to the end, and I still haven't. Anth dropped off after they left the prison because he was like,
just when the Whisperers were there, and I think
what were Alpha and Beta?
There was the fight between Beta and Daryl.
You got far, mind. You did.
I got far. There. That's as far as I've got, and I get bored every time I try and start again.
Yeah.
Not to say that I shouldn't persevere with it. Everybody keeps telling me to, so I will eventually.
I've got the last season that I would have to rewatch because I've seen halfway through, and then I just couldn't fucking do it anymore. But Anth dropped off around the prison because he couldn't stand the idea that Rick was going to move his civilization. He was creating a civilization. He was creating this world that could have had so much potential, and he was like, nope, we're going. And he was getting sick of them constantly moving about when they've already settled, and what could have been, or not just moving from A to B. You could have gone so much further out and explored so much more, but they fucking stayed in Atlanta, Georgia. So much world. Yeah, it really got on his nerves. Carl.
Yeah, don't blame him.
So yeah, he got sick of that. I'm sure we'll do something on Walking Dead and zombies at some point. We got to. We do monsters, so we got to. But going back to Jason, where was I? What were we talking about?
The whole thing with Pamela being the killer. I like the idea of it. I think Pamela made a good bad guy in the first one. Although
that's the word I was looking for, bad guy or villain. That's good.
she's only in it for around, 10-15 minutes, I think, so screen
who
time.
gives a fuck? But that when she hits that screen, she is chilling.
It's the knitted jumper. When she comes, basically when she jumps out of her Jeep and she walks around the front of her Jeep and she says something along the lines of, "I'm Mrs. Voorhees, dear," or something, whatever it is she says. To be honest with you, I've watched that many now, I can't even. She still had that air. I mean, she was a Broadway actress. That's what she did, Betsy Palmer. That's what she was famous for. So she had that poise about her when she walked down and she was like reciting a line, and I thought, yeah, we need to watch her. What's her? Why? Who are you?
What's your game?
Where have you just come from out of nowhere as well?
Mrs. Voorhees. I do love the jumper. What I would have liked is more Umbridge than and Inna. You know how Umbridge is all like pink and fluffy and she's pure fucking evil. I would have loved to have seen that. Like, do you know what picture? You remember them Princess Diana jumpers you got with like Charles? Oh god, something like that.
A proper knitted jumper with a face on.
Yeah, something along the lines. Because that would have made it so much better.
She gave the film a bit of a lift, if that makes sense. Because if you compare the first movie, which I shouldn't really compare them because they aren't really the same thing. Yeah. The first movie and then 2009's reboot, remake, rehash, whatever you want to call it.
Redo.
I am not a hater on that film.
No.
Because to me, you can stick it at the end of number 1 and it becomes number 2. You can bypass all the others and it becomes number 2 and it works as number 2. Yeah. Or it's a standalone, but it does explain at the beginning, obviously, the bit about Final Girl, Boat, Jason, Mrs. Voorhees, all that gumph at the beginning. So you get that recap, but so they're still respecting the source material, which I actually really like the fact that they did that. But they asked Betsy Palmer to come back for Jason X.
Yeah. And Jason versus Freddy, because that's not her. And I'm pulling a face because I'm not sure on myself that is not her.
I know with Jason X, they asked her to come back because there's a scene where they put him in a holographic, like a holodeck, like in Star Trek.
Of course they do.
It's something along those lines anyway, because they're trying to get him to be back at the camp. So they asked her to come back and reenact some of the scene from that, but unfortunately she passed away.
I was just about to ask
2015. Yeah.
It was who did you say it was? What's her name?
Betsy
the original
Palmer.
Betsy Palmer. Yeah. Pamela Shaw played her in Pretty Best Jason. And fuck me, does she very much look like her?
There's been, I think, 4 women that's played Mrs. Voorhees over the 12 movies.
I knew she wasn't in Freddy versus Jason. Even though I pulled a face, I did definitely know that. Somewhere deep inside of me was like, yes, Sam, you are right on that one. But I didn't know there was other actresses involved with it.
Yeah.
I just thought out of respect they might not have, because she was a big name. She was someone.
But they like to just keep Mrs. Voorhees alive because she was the one that was keeping Jason on track for his purpose, which was to be morally right, get his revenge on
the randy teens.
Yeah, basically.
That is initially the nitty-gritty of it all, Yeah,
it is. He like I say, he's a morality monster. He is the boogeyman if you have sex when you shouldn't be, because you've got other things you should be doing, but you're having it away instead of looking, doing your job.
No.
So,
and letting kids die. My dad always used to tell me that he was the only movie that ever scared him was Friday the 13th, and it was always the end scene. And I don't know why I had it on downstairs, because I don't feel like this was something I'd watch downstairs. Like it'd be my room and my secrets. But I always remember him coming in and going, "Turn that off." I was like, why? He was like, because I don't want to see that kid jump out the fucking water.
I mean, this is the thing about these movies, though. It's like that iconic scene where she thinks she's free, floating around in the canoe, and Ari jumps up and pulls it. It's like, why are you in the fucking river? You have a car there. You've just chopped her head off. Get in the Jeep and leave. No. We're going to go sail off into a canoe in the middle of the bloody lake. Yeah, all right, love.
Smug, with a smug look on your face that makes me want to rip it off. She just sits there going,
I just didn't like her as a final girl. And I don't know. I mean, I know that's controversial, I'm sure, but
not to me, because I'm not a big. There's so many more girls in that movie that I could have seen as a final girl, and she was not one of them. Even it was
Kevin Bacon would have made a good final girl.
I swear to Jesus, if they actually brought Kevin Bacon in as the final girl, like that would have been amazing. It's a very Carrie moment. The end of Friday the 13th. Carrie came first.
Yes, I think Carrie was 78, 79, I think. So, and the first
76.
Jason, was it really?
76.
Christ alive. Yeah, so Friday the 13th was 1980, so it came out.
Yeah, so that was a very, very Carrie moment. Because Carrie White is dead.
Is she though?
Nah. She won't fucking get you. I mean, she had good reason to come out and kill people. Do you know what I mean? Like, Jason's just out for he's out because his mother's telling him to. My God.
But he's
the ultimate mummy's boy.
Oh, massively. 100%. But the things that they did with him after the final chapter, I mean, I think we covered this in Tom Savini episode, where Tom Savini congratulates himself because he invented Jason and then he kills Jason in final chapter. So he always congratulates himself on that. But the things they do to Jason after that, number 5, there's no Jason. It's a copycat.
It's notes I'm reading out now. Jason was supposed to stay dead.
Yeah.
Sorry, B keeps catching me eye. And as a copycat killer took over in part 5, and that's again the route. It's always like they're trying to find a way to get rid of Jason.
Yeah, and then bring him back again for the next one.
And then bring him back. Oh, you're leaving. Oh, have you cleaned yourself enough on my clothes that you're leaving? I don't know if anyone's going to be able to see Beatrice, but she's been sat at the back of us, and for the past 10 minutes, she's just sat and cleaned herself and then fucked off.
At least she faced the other way.
Yeah, it's true. But it's like they almost don't want Jason to be there.
No, I mean, in one of these, and I cannot remember which one for the life of me, he's got telekinesis as a power.
Of course he does.
And it's like, is that really necessary? This is, for me, if we're looking at, I liked 4 for the sheer reason how batshit Corey Feldman was in it. Like, I love the fact that I love the fact that he's a little horror nerd. He likes to do all the special effects work. And you can tell Tom Savini sculpted every one of those fucking masks that kid has in his bedroom because he was only supposed to be around 12, 13. And if he was that good at 12, 13,
he'd be snapped right up by Tom Savini.
Yeah, I mean, I just like how batshit Tommy goes at the end, where he shaves his head, leaves the clumps, and comes down and starts giving Jason shit.
Yeah, he goes fucking nuts.
And the whole direction after 4 was that they killed Jason off, and the intent was 5, 6, however many they were going to do the down the line was going to be Tommy was taking over from Jason.
Yeah,
that was the narrative they wanted to run with. But something happened because in 5, like I said, there was the copycat killer, and Tommy then foils the copycat killer's identity, and he does a Scooby-Doo moment, and he becomes the hero again. And it's like, what was all that about? What was that all about at the end of 4? So it's like,
no idea. We did an episode of Jason last year, this year, can't remember. I honestly, when it comes down to episodes and what I've done and not done, I generally can't remember at this stage. My memory is bad enough at the best of times. But I remember I couldn't watch these movies again. But I regret not watching, because there's one that I couldn't get a hold of, and it was really annoying, was Jason in Manhattan.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to watch that, because I did a TikTok once that it was like, you know, favorite iconic monster scenes, and one of them was Jason coming out of a fucking train and booling down this train. I was like, holy shit, you look so fucking cool. If this is on Manhattan, I will be fucking furious, because I've not seen it. But is my memory playing tricks on me, or am I mixing two films here? Crispin Glover was in the second one.
He was in the... Was it the second one?
It's the second one, isn't it? It's that dance, Dan. That dance. Let me tell you. Right,
yeah, because
part 2.
Oh, hang on a minute. Wasn't 3?
Part 2.
Yeah, it's anyway. Crispin Glover.
It is.
And his dance.
And his dance. That dance is something to be treasured. Treasured.
Most certainly is. I think it was 3.
It's the
give up.
party.
Like I said, 2 and 3 mold into the same film to me. They're exactly the same film, but just set slightly different.
What have you learned, Dan, with your viewings this week?
Every fucking one of them's the same, except for the first. It's just set in a different setting, and it's exactly the same thing happens. It's just like, oh God. I mean, it works. It has worked. It's proven it's worked. No matter what I say, I won't take away from the fact that this has been one of the most lucrative horror franchises in the history of franchising. And the fact that it's each one of the movies have made so much money. I mean, the most successful one out of all of the films, which we haven't even touched on yet, is Freddy versus Jason.
I'm so looking forward to this one, because I'm not going to lie, I shouldn't, for so many reasons, but I fucking love this movie. And it's not a case of like, it's like a nostalgia thing now. I loved it from the second it came out. Like, I remember going I wanted to say pictures, but it's a cinema, because I have to remember our audience.
The movies.
They don't understand my northern dialect. Going to see it at the cinema, and just from then onwards, I will watch this at least once, maybe twice a year. I love it. Got your nose. I think it's great, man.
I mean, I liked it in the respect of that.
Hey.
I have an issue when they tend to put two very beloved characters up against each other. Like I know they do it in the comics, and I know that they do it in the 60s. There was probably with when I'm going to say this next one, like with the Godzilla and the Kong. I know those movies were made a lot earlier, but I still hate it. I still hate it when they make you choose, or like you feel like you have to choose one or the other.
Easy choice for me. Freddy can go and get in the fucking sea. But I do get what you mean, because in the comics, wasn't it Ash versus Jason versus Pinhead?
And
there's been a Pinhead one. There was so many of it. Because I do want to go back to Freddy versus Jason, because again, love it.
Yeah.
But Deadite. Jason is a Deadite? Jason is a Deadite. Why am I saying this? I'm sure. I'm trying to think of. Hang on. I'm talking shit at the minute, and I don't think that I am. Jason Deadite. No, Jason dead to me. Jason Deadite. Is Jason a Deadite? In the original continuity from Friday the 13th part what? What's the V and the 1? Is that 6?
Oh, don't ask me. My Roman numerals are terrible.
V and the 1, so to that one. So I think that's 6. To Freddy versus Jason, he is not a Deadite. Despite Evil Dead's dagger and the Necronomicon appearing in Jason Goes to Hell. There you go.
Right. Jason Lives was number 6. And then New Blood was number 7. Number 8 was Jason Takes Manhattan. Number 9 was Jason Goes to Hell.
So apparently, according to Adam Marcus, while he knew New Line wouldn't be on board with making the connection explicit, since they don't own the rights to Evil Dead, he absolutely intended the audience to have the intuition that Pamela Voorhees had used the Necronomicon to resurrect her son Jason, turning him into a deadite.
No. That's my answer on that one. Let's not do that, because Michael Bay tried to do something similar, which annoyed the shit out of me. The 2009 reboot of this was done by Michael Bay's production company.
But not him.
He was involved because he walked out of the premiere because he said there was too much sex and he didn't like it.
Oh, Michael Bay's precious eyes. His precious eyes.
It's made him enough money sexualizing women over the years so he can get
What the fuck you did to Megan Fox, you fucking hypocrite.
But he was saying that the lad in that one called Trent, who was the dickhead, the dickhead.
There's always one.
Yeah. He was called Trent in that. Now, at the same time, give or take, I think 2 years prior, Transformers came out. And he played Trent in Transformers as well. He was Megan Fox's boyfriend or someone Klingon or something. Same lad, same name. So then Michael Bay turned around and said, yes, this takes part in the same universe. So Jason apparently lives in the same universe as Transformers in the Michael Bay universe. And I was like, no.
No, he does not. He does not.
No,
he does not, Michael Bay. Just because you come up with a character who has the same name, just because the likelihood is he's very oh my god, I'm getting so angry. He's very stereotyped and typecast.
Yeah.
You can't then claim they're in the same universe. It doesn't fucking exist. Transformers and Halloween. Oh my god, what is wrong with me? Jason, they stay away from each other. It's been a long day.
Michael can stay away too.
Yeah, Michael can. I mean, we could just keep Michael Bay away from fucking Halloween. Jesus Christ. Can you imagine the shit show that would come out of that?
It's not for me. When I read that, I got quite angry. I'm not going to lie. I read that and I was like, why? It doesn't have any correlation. There's no need for them to be in the same universe unless you're going to turn Jason into a fucking Transformer in one of your sequels.
Oh my god.
Oh, I can see it happening. Don't worry.
Oh my Christ! It's too much time has passed now. I think Michael Bay has kind of washed his hands of the Jason thing. I keep getting mixed up on Netflix of seeing that cover, and then the Texas Chainsaw Massacre one, because the colors look exactly the same, and because I'm blind as a fucking bat, I'm just looking at the colors and going, oh. Friday, nope, that's Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Sam, you can't watch that. Well, not again.
I can say that you are kind of right and keep mentioning Halloween and Michael, because Scout Taylor Compton, who played Laurie Strode in Rob Zombies, she auditioned for the part in the 2009 remake of Jenna, who everybody thought was going to be the final girl that didn't turn out to be the final girl. And I'm doing spoilers because this film's bloody 14 years old, so I think I'm okay there, But
I think you covered by the 14-year release.
But obviously it's got Jared Padalecki in it. Everybody knows
Gilmore Girls.
Yeah, Sam from and Supernatural and Gilmore Girls. I've never seen Gilmore Girls. I have no idea.
It's so beautiful. The problem is with Gilmore Girls is you've got to be on your fucking A game when you're watching the first episode, because they talk so fast and you don't realize, like, you later on after you've watched it for quite a bit, it's like you're just in tune to it. But the first episode is like bit a bit, and it's so quick. So it does take you a while for your ears to like tune into it.
Well, the irony of this was they were on a break making Supernatural. So
and this is his break movie?
Jared went off and made this, and Jensen went off and made My Bloody Valentine on the same year, 2009. So they both went off and rebooted massive franchises.
That is so fucking cool.
Which I didn't hate My Bloody Valentine reboot either. So
I've seen the original. Ha! Internet, I've seen something.
Wow.
But
Bets on they wouldn't have got that, Sam.
I know. I know. I watched that, and what's Jamie Lee's prom night?
Yeah, prom night.
Prom night, yeah. That was weird.
If you ever want to see a weird one, Terror Train. That's very fucking weird with Jamie Lee on it.
Ooh.
Terror Train. Yeah.
I do like a Jamie Lee movie that is not Halloween. I sound like I'm really shitting all over Halloween. I really love the franchise, like I do. But it's not Jason.
The amount of love that there is out there for Derek Mears, who played Jason in the 2009 reboot, they almost didn't cast Derek because they said he was such a nice bloke, no one could take it seriously.
But size-wise, he fits it perfectly.
He's perfect, yeah. I mean, you see Derek Mears in real life, and he's a big man. He's like exactly what you think Jason should be, like height-wise, I feel like.
Yeah.
And he's quite a presence. He's not as big as Jason, because obviously they make Jason quite broad.
Bulky.
They make Jason, bulky. That's the right word. They pad him out a lot.
Because you can tell that but he can still move with ease. Like even though he is very much, he's wearing a lot of jumpers. Mama's got to keep him warm.
You can definitely tell the difference between part 2 and part 3. He's definitely been down the gym, doing some laps in the lake. He's gone from being a sack boy to the big hench Jason we know and love now.
Do you not think that the original Jason, the boy Jason, the one that we see lovingly behind your head, if he was Jason, just him, no changes,
just a kid for the whole movies,
I think that'd have been fucking terrifying.
It would have worked. I mean, at that time, I think there was a bit of a rush of movies coming out where you'd had creepy kids, like Pet Sematary was not long after or around the same time as this, because obviously Gage, everybody knows Gage.
Oh, that kid is adorable, though.
Oh, no fun.
No.
Sometimes death's better.
Sometimes death is better. There he is. I love doing that voice. Gets on Ant's nerves. Just randomly sitting there going, sometimes death is better.
It's the overacting, and I'll thank Creature for this, because I was having a conversation when he was actually tattooing Fred Gwynn on me. He literally stopped tattooing, got his phone out, and showed me the scene, which I'd never noticed that scene before in Pet Sematary, where Fred overacts, and he's having a conversation at the dinner table with the dad, and the dad asks Fred if he's ever buried a human down there, and Fred he purposely knocks over all the beer bottles, and it's just how he does it is so overacting. And it's like I'd never noticed it before.
He's such a great physical comedian. Like, and that was it wasn't the wrong role for him, because it was great. He's brilliant in it. He makes Pet Sematary for me, given the grim fucking story that's behind it.
Yep.
But he's still a physical comedy actor.
Yeah. I mean, I found out recently that he's buried in an unmarked grave.
Yes, I did know that.
Why? He needs a headstone.
I know you need to be looking at the people who, and I know he's not your favorite person in the world, but Scott Michaels, that's what he does. Mm-hmm. He goes around and he organizes.
Scott on Tape.
No, not Scott on Tape. Scott Michaels.
Oh, Scott. Graham Norton's ex-boyfriend, Scott. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, the guy with the death museum, who just so happened to be Graham Norton's ex-boyfriend.
Who loved telling me when I met him how much money he made from the article he sold to The Sun about Graham.
Oh, you don't want to mention that to a northerner.
But then doing that paid for his death museum. So that's why I have a bit of an icky thing about Scott, because whilst the death museum's a great thing, him selling out his boyfriend is what paid for it. And I just
to the Sun.
And he even had it framed, the newspaper article, in the museum at the back, and it gave me the ick. I know I'm from Sunderland, and we're nowhere near Liverpool,
but we still share a bit of support with them, especially when it comes down to the son and never reading the fucker, because it's a fucking rag piece of shit that can get in the fucking bin. I did not know that.
Yeah.
But I still do like his videos. I'm so sorry.
I mean, again, like I said earlier, everyone can like what they like. You can disconnect, you cannot, it's like listening to music with someone who's done something absolutely horrific or questionable in the band.
It depends.
But you like the music. I'm not talking Lost Prophets. I'm not talking Lost Prophets here.
I was thinking more Gary Glitter myself, like, but...
But yeah, I mean, they're in the same bloody band, them two, can't they? Ian Watkins and Gary. They can fuck off together and start one in prison. But just that, when you've got people who have questionable opinions about stuff, you can still like the music they produce. You don't have to like the person.
Yeah.
Unless there's a massive boycott on, and if you say it out loud, you get shunned and made to stand in the corner with your dance hat on,
Like R. Kelly. Do you know what I mean?
There's
a couple of people that you just cannot physically go, I could never get on your side. I could never listen to your music. No, but I know what you mean. There's a lot of things that you can disconnect with, and but I just think with Scott, and this is like the millionth time we've talked about Scott on this podcast.
He has his money now.
Yeah, he does. He has his own YouTube channel called The Daily Departed. It's very low budgety production value, but I just fucking love it. Some of the stuff that he goes to, some of the places. I'm not a big fan of some of his collection, which I've made very clear on this before. But when he gets down to like Hollywood history, that's when I'm interested. I cannot listen to him for so long on the Manson murders anymore. It comes to a point where I have heard all that I can. I'm done.
That's what he literally milked, and I don't use that term lightly. That was his bread and butter when he had the museum and the tours. He did the Helter Skelter tour 2 or 3 times a week. I went on the standard tour, and that one I did that one 3 times with, like, first time I did it was 2010, second time I did it was 2017, and then I think the third time I did it was 2018, 2019. Same tour, all those years, exactly the same thing. You see the same places, hear the same thing. It wasn't changed up, but mine was more about like murders of famous people around the city,
I have technically been on that tour because I have watched it online a million times. You go to Rebecca Schaefer's house and
Bela Lugosi's flat.
Yeah, Bela Lugosi's flat, and you end up in the graveyard at some point.
Yeah, I always forget what it's called. The West something.
Hollywood Forever Cemetery.
That's
Westwood Cemetery.
Yeah, I think it's the West something. And
honestly, I could be a tour guide in Los Angeles. The amount of fucking touristy shit and graveyardy stuff I watch. Honestly, I could. I'd be like, and on here, you'll find Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah, next to Hugh Hef, which I've seen. I literally stood in front of both of them. And Heather Rourke from Poltergeist is literally on the other side. Yeah, it's really weird.
I fucking hate that I know that and I've never been. Also, did you know that Madonna's crypt is just above Hefner's?
Yeah, he paid for that, didn't he? As well as he paid for Marilyn's.
He paid part of Marilyn's. Not all of it. But there is an interesting, just before we go back to Jason, there is an interesting video on Michael Scott's YouTube, and it is the mortician who was a mortician for Marilyn. Really interesting. I actually have his book. It's very rare to come by. It's like My Dear Hearst or something like that, and he's about his funeral business, and obviously getting the big one. She was the big one. Yeah. And all of our little secrets, our little beauty secrets all came out. It is very interesting. But yeah, Jason, zombies, mothers, Freddy versus Jason.
Yeah. They actually wanted to put Tommy in Freddy versus Jason.
I remember hearing that, and I don't see where it would have fit in if we are concentrating solely on a fight between Freddy and Jason.
We all know who wins anyway. Jason won, in theory, because he shish kebabbed
fucking head off.
He shish kebabbed him, didn't he? Like Freddy went in for the thing, but that doesn't kill Jason. So Jason still had the time to chop his head off. So I mean, in that movie alone, you're looking at 27 kills, including Freddy, in Freddy versus Jason.
Did you ever do a Jason kill count?
I've got one. Across the 12 movies.
Sorry, is he gonna be knocked
prepare
off?
Yourself.
I need to say.
Oh. Across the 12 movies, there is a number given.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's debatable about, they say around 15 of them are question marked on this number. So I will take those 15 off, and then I will tell you the original number.
Okay.
We're looking at, are you ready? 148 over 12 movies.
My God.
Yeah, he's beat Claude. But bear in mind, Claude was one film. This is 12 films. He's beat him, but times 12 films it's taken
people
to get to 148 kills.
I'm a bit emotional about this. Claude has been the highest kill count since
20-something episodes.
God, what are we going to do? Oh my God.
Originally, like I said, 163 it was supposed to be, but like I say, they were querying around.
If we did, yeah. So what's Jason
148?
148 to
6 more than Claude.
Wow.
So yeah, I mean, it, like I say, it's a feat in itself with Claude, because that was over one film, whereas Jason, 148
one film and one
12.
bus journey.
Yeah. So I mean, the average kill counts though were crazy. They were absolutely crazy in these movies, but it goes to show that they were just going for blood. But going back to Freddy versus Jason, that was the most successful movie in all 12 of them financially. And
I can imagine why.
It took 116 million in 2003, sorry. So that is
generally
megabucks.
Yeah, it is. And it was a time. There was a theme, there was a scene, there was new metal, there was Freddy, there was Jason. It was a perfect time for that movie to come out. And I'm not saying it couldn't work now, but it was so fitting for the time that it came out in. I love every second of that movie. I love the cast. I even like the one from Destiny's Child. Thought she was thought she was fucking hilarious. And she held her own. And I know that some of the young actors and actresses, one of them is her from Dawson's Creek, the main one. Probably the wide little thing she is.
The blonde one or the dark-haired one?
Blonde one. Not the one who thinks she's PJ Souls.
The one that was married to Heath Ledger?
No, she was... So, yes, think of her. Michelle
Williams. I know who you mean.
Andy.
Her name was Andy in...
well, she was Abby in...
Dawson's Creek, yeah.
No, Andy was Joshua Jackson's girlfriend. It was Jack's sister. It was Abby. It was Jen's friend. Fuck, why do I know so much about Dawson's Creek? She was the one who died. You win. I'm done. Died on the bridge.
Oh my God, I'm done. I don't even remember that.
Why do I know this? She was also in an episode. She was also in a lovely episode of Grey's Anatomy, where she is impaled with a man who she's never met before, and they've got a pole right through them, and they have to make the very tough decision on... I mean, obviously the man's saying, you've got to save her, whatever it takes, I'll sacrifice me, and it doesn't turn out that way.
She dies.
She does, and it's so sad. I actually feel myself like... but yeah, when I first saw her, she did annoy us a little bit, and it's probably because we were very close in age, and I was like, I would never... ever act like that.
Literally, my brain has just clocked who you're talking about. It's taken that long.
She died on the bridge.
Yeah,
she fell off the bridge.
Doesn't really stay with me too much.
Why does it stay with me?
I remember the characters' names. I remember who was in it, and but
I was very affected by Dawson's Creek, apparently, that I didn't know about until right now.
I like when you go, right, okay, so stepping away from James Van Der Beek and his crying face.
The Dawson.
Yeah. When you see the average murders and the amount the movies have taken, the first movie in itself in 1980 was relatively successful by the standards of the time. So you're talking 39.7 million that movie took.
Wow.
For a film that had no backers. Nothing at least a year before.
Wow.
So
that's something.
So that had 12 kills in it, that one, in the first movie.
Right.
The second film was done in 1981. So bear in mind, first one came out in 80.
I'm not even born yet.
In 81. There was 10 murders, and that took, at the box office, 21.7 million.
That's not bad.
It's still not bad for a sequel.
It's still not bad.
Third movie, 1982. They're banging these out one a year at the moment. So 1982, we're looking at 12 murders and 36.7 million. So that's just shy of the first original movie, the third one, which is surprising because it's shit. In my opinion, I'm allowed to have my own opinion.
I disclaimed it. I disclaimed it at the beginning. It's fine.
Friday the 13th final chapter, I enjoyed that one a bit more purely because that is the one with Crispin Glover, number 4, because they all go skinny dipping. Yeah, they all go skinny dipping in the lake and he refuses to take his clothes off. Yes, number 4 is Crispin Glover.
And that dance.
That took 30.3 million, which still isn't bad.
It was that dance, that's why. Everyone wanted to see that dance. I always mix up that scene right there when I watch it with Troll 2. It's the dad. It's the dad in the kitchen. You don't piss on hospitality.
He looks like he's having some sort of seizure, doesn't he, old Crispin, when he's dancing? It's like,
I swear to God, if we don't do Troll 2 on here, I would fucking die. It's such a fucking shit, brilliant film.
They're the ones that I like, though. The one like Ghoulies, right? People forget about Ghoulies. Ghoulies was shit, but it was fantastic at the same time.
As Paul likes to say, shit fantastic.
Shitastic, yeah.
Shitastic. Troll 2 is definitely shitastic. It has just it's the line, they're gonna eat me. No, they're gonna eat her, and then they're gonna eat me. Oh my God. It's like the acting is so bad in it. Like, it's so brilliant. I have so many things that I could go over. We will do Troll 2 at some point, I promise, because it's brilliantly bad. But go on with your figures.
Yeah, no, it's just like 85. So we're talking 5 movies in a row now.
Did we have one in 83?
83 was
was that the third one? No? Fourth one?
83. They skipped a year. No, they did skip a year then.
Of course they fucking did. It was the year I was born.
80, 81, 82 are the first 3. 84 was the 4th one. So they skipped a year in between those 2.
I mean, it depends where you're looking at Ancestry, because I've got a log in 1983 and 1984. Just take your pick.
When they did New Beginning in 85, that had 22 murders and took 20.6 million. Jason Lives, 1986, 18 murders and took 19 million. That's the one that CJ Graham was playing Jason in. Now we go into the Kane Hodder era.
Oh, Kane.
So, New Blood, 1988, 15 murders, 19.1 million. Jason Takes Manhattan, 1989, 19 murders, 14.3 million. Jason Goes to Hell, The Final Friday, 1993. So we have a 4-year gap there between the 2 films.
Right.
That's Kane again. Kane's the only person to have played him 4 times.
Then that makes him Jason.
Yeah. That took that was 22 murders, 15.1 million. Jason X, Kane again, in 2001, which is that's the toilet paper edition of all of them, in my opinion. I cannot stand this movie with a passion. It needs to be burnt and never shown to the public.
You can't
again.
even see the irony of it, like the whole. Nah,
it's just awful. I can't get past the mask. Awful.
The mask is horrible. That's not Jason.
That's
not a Jason mask.
And they thought of what 2008 was going to be in.
They were wrong.
2001. They were only 7 years out, but they were like.
It's like at least Back to the Future, like give it a good go with like what 2015 could have looked like. They got the fucking nuts. President right though.
So 29 murders in that one and 17.1 million at the box office.
29 murders in Jason X.
Yes.
Did they just fucking obliterate the cast?
Yeah, pretty much at the end, I think they did. Jason technically did something. Obviously did something. We've just done Jason versus Freddy in 2003, which was 116.6 million and 27 kills, including Freddy. Friday the 13th of 2009 was 13 murders and took 92.7 million. So the 2009 reboot was the second most successful Friday the 13th movie of the 12. So when you look at it like that, I mean, usually reboots never live up to the hype, but this one, I have to say, whatever the formula was they used in this reboot, they did something where they didn't disrespect the source material.
Yeah.
So it felt like a Friday the 13th. It didn't feel disjointed. It didn't feel like we had to give Jason another different backstory, like with that god-awful reboot of Nightmare on Elm Street with Haley Rorschach, you know. No, we don't need to know that. Don't need the narrative that Freddy was a kiddie fiddler. No, we know that he was a kid killer. It's implied heavily in the sequels.
Yeah, and in the opening of Freddy versus Jason, that was perfect. That's all you need to know. He had something with children. That was it. And the parents went fucking apeshit, as you probably would not find now because laws and shit, but back in a fictional world they would go absolutely nuts and get the pitchforks out and very Frankenstein-esque. I like that opening. I love that opening, especially the two of them, like they're two different worlds. I want to watch Freddy vs. Jason.
But to me that's wherein that failed, because they wanted to put a more serious narrative on
it's Freddy fucking Krueger,
and it is Robert Englund. There's no two ways about it. You cannot hide that behind the makeup. It is, you see it in the eyes. If you're going to change the makeup design, change the narrative of the character, and disrespect the source material to the point of where you're making a movie that just has the name and the character name on it, but it's not actually the same from the same universe. It's like you've made up your own version. Bullshit. The 2009 reboot worked for the very reason Jason is Jason in it. The story is the same. People are trying to have a nice weekend away, and Jason doesn't like it and ruins it. They want to shag a lot.
The thing is, you're right. If you want to completely disrespect the source material and change things up and make it your own, then make your fucking own. Make a different monster. Make another iconic monster.
Yeah.
Don't rely upon the past in order to try and progress yourself. I'm getting angry here. Try and progress yourself with something because you know technically it will work. Now, I know there's a lot of people don't shit upon the that Freddy Krueger one. I personally won't watch it. I'm not a fan of Freddy Krueger. I really am not a fan of Freddy Krueger. Never got him as a kid. Never. Yeah, I know. Who am I? Why am I here? No, I honestly, I never got it as a kid. He never frightened us. I couldn't give two fucks if he come into me dreams or not. Them claws, I've had longer nails. It never really got to us.
Yeah.
And the movie, the first one, I see is a full-on fucking comedy. It is absolutely hilarious.
The first one loses me with the telescopic arms where he's scraping the knives down the alleyway when they've gone out that wide. that bit that's where it lost me. But other than that, they did some amazing special effects work on that movie. And to this day, the revolving room, Johnny Depp getting a blood fountain, all of that, absolutely amazing.
And brilliant. And I'm sure when we do Freddy, I will take a proper deep look into something that will grasp me. But I will never get past that fucking door scene with the mother going through the letterbox. I will never be able to get past that.
I've forgotten all about that. Oh my God. Honestly, the model, you see it go from being the lady having a throat grab to like a plastic, like a rubber woman being folded in half. Dragged through I think it was the window or something.
It's like a very small window in the door. And
she folds in half and she's like that big.
She's
rubber. You see the rubber face on her and everything when they're pulling her through. Oh my God, I've forgotten about that.
I will never get past that. So maybe when I'm doing my research for Freddy, I might come across something that, I mean, obviously I've got something there because Freddy versus Jason, you don't have that movie without one person, and he really did keep me entertained throughout. Like, yes, Jason, I wanted to win. Like, I was rooting for my boy, but I still think you give a hell of a fight.
Yeah, I mean, I will say the standout characters along the way when I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, who do I remember most from all the movies? Kevin Bacon getting shish kebab through the throat with an arrow by Pamela.
A lot of knives in the neck.
And then there's also, I don't know if people know this, but in Friday the 13th, the guy that gets the arrows to the eye, he is actually Bing Crosby's son, Harry Crosby. And he got killed off in the movie. I want to say it was the original Bill. He played Bill in the original.
Yeah.
He was Bing Crosby's son. I'm Dreaming of a White Christmas, Bing Crosby. It was his son.
That little drummer boy.
Yeah.
Bowie. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, his son was in the first movie, and he played Bill. But then you had Mrs. Voorhees. She will forever be iconic.
I think we should start a Mrs. Voorhees fan club and be like, bring her back, give her own series. Fuck
Mummy's Boys, yeah.
Mummy's Boys for life.
Then it goes to Crazy Corey Feldman.
Oh, fuck yeah. You got to give him its mind. It was good.
It genuinely looked like he'd shaved his head as well. No matter how much I was looking, I was like, is that a bald cap or has he actually shaved his head? And I'm convinced he shaved his head. Either that or Tom did some... Yeah, because I couldn't see the join. And that film came out just 1984. So same year as Gremlins or around Gremlins, because he was in Gremlins as well.
That's such a shift.
He also did Goonies in 86, 87. So there's only a 3-year gap between that and that. So he had enough time for his head to go back by then. So.
Oh, yeah. He's a boy. He can get away with shit like that.
And then I'm not going to be like, okay, Kelly Rowland in Freddy vs. Jason, if we're going to pick somebody random. And then obviously Jared Padalecki in the new reboot. Yeah. But other than that, there's a whole section of movies that I just don't care for, and they don't need to be there. And I'm going to say about the middle.
This was honesty brought to you by Dan.
Yeah, I don't care for them, frankly. I mean, if they're your favourite, that's cool. And I genuinely am not taking that away from you because you'll have your reasons. But for me, the only disappointment for me with the Jason movies, whilst I said the 2009 sticks to the formula and respects the source material, I think it does it in a way where it's brought it into the modern times. Yeah. When you're banging out 11 movies, all right, we'll take Freddy versus Jason out of that as well. So you're banging out 10 movies consecutively over a 20-year period. Yeah, you are putting the same film out again and again and again and again and again.
Essentially.
And it gets
to a point. In space.
Gets to a point where you're just like, okay, is this what we've got left? Sticking him in space.
That is like the final straw, though. It's like, we've put him in Manhattan. This is what's going to happen with Scream, I'm telling you, because he's going to a different place this time.
Yeah.
Or has he been to a different... He's going to London. He's fucking jet setting. Honestly, when they've done all the major cities, and potentially all of, the ninth wonders of the world, eighth. China was the ninth wonder of the world. Can't do her. Eighth wonders of the world. It'll send him to space. I'm telling you, Ghostface will end up in space.
Oh, it wouldn't fucking surprise me. Really wouldn't.
Are we going to wrap up on Jason?
Yeah, we can. I mean, like I say, for genuinely, I think he is a fantastic monster.
Yes.
He is the boogeyman for morality. Don't be naughty because Jason will come and chop it off. He is also the ultimate mummy's boy. He is.
He puts Norman Bates to shame.
He does as well with his kill count. He is the biggest kill count we've had on the pod so far.
He is now the reigning champion
and
of
it's only
kill
taken
counts.
21 episodes, 22 episodes.
I should know this. I put the last one up. I can't remember. We're at 20 something. We're definitely at a number where someone should have been. I honestly thought Saw could have been a contender. Didn't even come up close. I can't believe it's taken us this long, but we finally have a new reigning champion. Welcome to the stage, Jason Voorhees.
22. There we go. 22 episodes. This is the 22nd episode. And I
honestly thought we'd be saying, Claude Rains, you son of a bitch, you've done it again. I cannot believe my good friend sitting behind me is now second.
Well, like I say, it's all down to semantics if you want to work it out. But one movie
we're keeping the number. He's up there, and I should be happy about this. He's one of my favorites, but it's just because Claude's been there for so long, he became a fixture.
I mean, there's still plenty of people to knock him off this spot. I mean, we're still talking. We haven't done Michael. We haven't done Freddie. There's even possibility someone really random that we haven't covered yet, like. I don't even know if we will, but like maybe The Blob or Urban Legend, or, taking into consideration some of these other movies that are out there that we could look at. They may well have killed millions of people for all we know, but we're not at that point. Oh my God,
you cannot rank your Urban Legends up against these guys. We'd be there all fucking day. And in this country...
It was the first thing that came to mind.
I love it. Well, this has been a new slot for us today.
Yes.
Just for today, we've taken over Friday because it's Friday the 13th.
It's Jason's birthday.
Yay! And we wanted to celebrate Jason's birthday on his birthday. I will not be in the chat tonight because I am at this very moment watching Sleepaway Camp at Tyneside Theatre.
Alicia Rose.
Yes, I'm going for a whole Q&A podcasty extravaganza of Sleepaway Camp. And then tomorrow starts the 24-hour live stream. Hope to fuck I'm not out late.
My thoughts and somethings are with you anyway. So
my thoughts and feelings, because they ain't no prayer in here.
Nope.
We are usually up on a Monday, and as of right now, the schedule for our Spotify and iTunes will be every Tuesday, apart from this one, obviously, because we're going out on the Friday, but every Tuesday we will be uploaded to Spotify and iTunes. So if you can give us them, what is it? A heart. Heart. Give us a heart or a thumbs up or a 5-star review. And it just helps other monsters find us and come and join in with the Monster Squad. Next week, where are we? So we've not done Monday, we're at Friday. Next week, we don't know.
No, because I think Monday Trekking is going out, as far as I'm aware. But we're not 100% sure.
We are definitely not out on the Monday. You'll be fully aware of that with the post that I put up beforehand telling you that we were not out on Monday. But the following Monday, so we're going out on Friday and then straight away back on Monday again.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know where we're at, and we won't know until next week.
Yes, we're basically waiting for something. But when that happens, if that happens, then that will be going out.
Yeah, if that doesn't, Then something else will be going out.
Yeah, surprise.
That's what we do.
We'll all be surprised together.
Yes. We'll all revel in it at the same time. But if you are lovely enough to like, share, and subscribe this video, and remember to catch us on Spotify and iTunes. And if you're feeling kind of frisky and dandy, you can always go and check out our other podcasts, even if you go and download them and listen to them while you're doing the housework. I hear I have a very entertaining voice to be able to get you through and make you want to finish your fucking housework.
Clean those sofas.
Yes. Well, happy Friday the 13th. I was saying that to you. I was saying that to you.
Oh, right. Happy Friday 13th, Sammy.
Wow. Wowza. My God. It is quite late. It is quite late. Well,
Brain
thank you
function
all.
Minimal.
Oh, mine went fucking ages ago when I couldn't get Jason and Michael the right way around. So we all saw when that went. But thank you everyone for watching, and remember, stay nerdy, everyone. Bye.